Hi everyone. So I'm making a video today with some tips on dealing with a narcissistic boss or supervisor. And you can probably apply a lot of this to other situations where you have to be around a narcissist as well. And, hopefully it's a temporary situation. And these are some tips just to get you through and help you keep your sanity in the meantime. And what I want to say, first of all, is I would never advocate for just being disingenuous yourself or for going against your own beliefs or your own values in dealing with a narcissistic person. I think there's a way that you can still hold true to who you are and what you believe, and also at the same time tailor your response to the narcissist in a way that is going to benefit you the most. So if you want to keep yourself in a situation where you're dealing with a narcissist, where it's actually livable to you, at least temporarily, then you're going to have to tailor your approach to them differently than the way that you approach other people. And it's no different than, for example, having a different approach with a teenager compared to the approach you would have with an adult. If you know someone is a teenager, then in your interactions with them, you're going to approach things totally differently than you would with someone who's grown. So just think of it that way, that you're not going to be disingenuous or false to yourself, but that you are going to change your approach when you're dealing with the narcissistic person. And the number one most important thing when dealing with a narcissistic boss, the most important thing to remember, and the thing that is going to help you out the most, is if you want to always make them look good in front of other people. Always make them look good in front of other people. So a normal person is going to value an employee because they work well with the team, they contribute a lot to the team, they're good at their job, they make the clients happy. These are things that a normal boss is going to value an employee for, that they're personable, that they're easy to work with. But you have to keep in mind that a narcissist is going to value their employees for completely different reasons. And you want to make yourself valuable to the narcissist to make your life a little easier. And so to do that, it's important that you make them look good, because that's what matters the most to them, right? What matters the most to them is that they look good. And so you have to keep that in mind in your dealings with the narcissist. And that as long as you are doing that, it's not so much if you're being, how successful you're being at your job as it is how good you're making your boss look at their job. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's really going to help you out, because if you can do that, then the narcissist is going to value you and want to keep you around, and you might in the process make your life a little easier. And so what does that look like? So if you're having meetings, just be sure to be complimentary to your supervisor in your meetings, especially if there's other coworkers or even their supervisor is around. You want to always acknowledge your boss for what they've been doing, or talk in a way that you're very mindful that you're presenting them in a positive light. The worst thing you can do is in a meeting or some situation where you're dealing with your supervisor is to ask them questions in a way, like if there's something they haven't done or some responsibility that they should be taking care of that they haven't, the last thing you want to do is to call that out in any way. Anything that could be perceived by them as calling them out is going to trigger a whole cascade of rage with the narcissist. And so that's something that you'll need to consider when you're tailoring your approach to deal with them. So make them look good, basically. Make them look good. That's the best advice that someone can give you in this situation. And that's what's going to help you out the most. And keep in mind, it's very likely that there are a lot of things that your boss isn't doing that they should be. And there's, I'm sure, a long list of things that you could call them out for. But you have to understand that if there's something that you need from them, that it's so important the way you package it, that you do it in a way that is holding them in a positive light, or allowing them to keep that good impression of themselves. So even if you have to ask them for something or ask them a question, it's so important that you do it in a way that is going to make them feel good in the end. And if you can understand that right there is going to help you out a lot. Just understanding what their motivations are, because if not, their behavior is going to seem totally random. And something else to keep in mind is that in general, they will have, among their employees, they may have some employees, like one or two that are their right-hand people that they just nearly always hold in positive regard. And then they may have one or two people that are like the black sheep on the team, that can never do anything right in their eyes. And then the majority of people are going to be somewhere in between that, somewhere in the middle of those two, and constantly going back and forth between being their friend and being their enemy. So most people on their team, they might hold in positive regard 1 minute and then turn and, see them as worthless the next minute. But there may be some people that always stay on their good side, or that are always on their bad side. But most people are somewhere between the two. And a lot of times you won't know where you stand, or where you stand might change from day to day. And just be aware, even if you are tailoring your approach to them, there's still going to be behavior that comes from them that just comes out of left field. They might call you one day and just start picking apart everything that you do at work and accusing you of things and trying to make you look bad. So there's still going to be those times, even if you're changing your approach and you're, being mindful of helping them keep their ego intact. There's still going to be times where they're just random. It's going to seem random to you that all of a sudden they're calling you out for things and trying to make you look bad, or smear you, or attack you. So that's important to be aware of so that you're just not totally caught off guard when it happens. And just recognize that a lot of times if that's happening, it may be that they're bored. It may be that they have nothing to do and they're bored, and so they're just kind of creating something to do by getting on your case. Or it may be that something has happened, like they aren't doing their job like they're supposed to, and someone has called them out on it. And so now they're going to turn and try to make you look bad or try to put blame on you for something, because they're shifting all of that blame off themselves and onto you. So just recognize that. Like, if it seems like all of a sudden they've turned on you and you don't understand why, it's likely because either they're just bored, and they're just looking to control you and put you in the hot seat, almost as a source of, I don't know if I would say entertainment, but something for them to do. Or it may be that they're feeling like they're on the hot seat themselves. And so what they're going to do is try to make you look bad, because they're never going to accept responsibility. They're never going to accept responsibility for their lack of doing their job well. They're always going to blame other people. And so they're always going to keep people around that they can blame. So, for example, if their supervisor is calling them out on something, they're going to find a way to blame you for it. And they're not going to want you to have a lot of communication with, for example, their supervisor, because they may even triangulate, like where they're making you look bad to their supervisor, and then they might even talk junk about their supervisor to you. And they're going to do a lot of that triangulation in the team, where they'll talk bad about one employee to another, or, talk bad about you to someone else. So there's going to be a lot of that gossip and triangulation. So just be ready and be prepared. Know that is a likely scenario, and that even if you're doing everything that you can to try to make this the best of this situation, it's going to be days that are hard, and you're going to have to be dealing with heat from them on certain days. So you need to be ready for that. It could come totally out of nowhere. You could be performing really well, doing everything right at work, and then all of a sudden they're just calling you out and trying to make you look terrible. So it could come totally out of nowhere. So just be prepared for that. And just know what's motivating them. And when you understand that, that one of the things they're most motivated by is looking good and looking successful. So, like, if you can be really successful at what you do, but do it in a way so that it can be underneath the umbrella of their own success, then that is making you more valuable to them. And what I mean is, if you can be super productive, or let's say the project or the team that you're working on, if you can do your job really well, where you're making that team or that project successful, but you're doing it in a way that is not drawing the attention to yourself, but is allowing your boss to look good and have something they can put on their resume, like, oh, high performing team, oh, we accomplished this in 6 months or a year, that's going to be valuable to them. So anything that's going to make their resume look better, that they can put on their resume, any way you can contribute to that, making them look successful, making them look good, then they're going to see you as valuable. So I know a lot of people say, like, the narcissist is just going to hate you and be really competitive if you're a successful person. They're going to be jealous. And that could be true, but also believe that if you are being successful but doing it in a way that allows them to prosper or to benefit from that success because it's their team and they can put it on their resume or make themselves look good with it, then they're still going to value you. They're going to still see you as valuable. So just recognize, when they're calling you out, oftentimes it's because there's something they haven't been doing that they're supposed to be doing. There's some responsibility that they're slacking on. They may be under fire. They may be under heat. So they have to put that on you, or they just may need something to do. So be prepared for that. Don't let yourself be thrown off by that. And just make sure in your interactions, especially if other people are there to see it, that you are keeping their image, allowing them to keep their positive image. So I hope some of those tips help. If there's anything else that you can think of, maybe something you've experienced or you feel is helpful, please leave it in the comments for other people to view, and I'd be happy if you subscribe and watch more videos. I hope to be putting more out soon, and have a good day. Bye.